For me, people are different. Sometimes we feel more comfortable expressing our thoughts orally, verbally. For me, it's more comfortable to write my thoughts because I think I can analyze them more and reflect. So I started writing those articles and just publishing them on the blog. Time passed by, and then I was like, I always wanted to write a book, but I wasn't sure what am I going to write about. And then I was like, I think that was the push, that was the green light. I was like, okay, so maybe the blog can be, turn into a book.
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage. Okay, everybody. So close your eyes and imagine stepping into the life of your future self, the version of you that's achieved your wildest dreams, written that book, and found true freedom. Now open your eyes, because on Authors on Mission podcast, the future becomes your reality. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the most brilliant minds in publishing and entrepreneurship so you can learn their journeys and blaze their own trail to success. Today, we're going to be talking with Zhara York, author of The Traveler's Guide to Life. This memoir is a collection of stamps and a passport, but also a roadmap to redefining freedom, success, and personal growth. So get ready for some serious inspiration. Zhara, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, Danielle. Appreciate it.
Hey, real quick before we jump back in, if you're loving what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We're bringing you the best authors, the most real conversations, and all the writing wisdom that you didn't know you needed. So stick around because it only gets better from here. All right, now let's get back to the conversation.
Of
course. Yeah, no, this is going to be a really exciting conversation. I think we have a lot in common. We both love to travel, and I'm loving that you took all of your insights and turned that into a book for others to learn from. So let's dive into it. First, about yourself, what made you leave your career in education and start world traveling?
Yeah. So I been in education for the last, 15 years. Still do, just in a different way. But I always loved traveling. I always loved getting to know different cultures. And to be honest, I was born in Venezuela, but I grew up in New York City. So when I was little, my family, I didn't come from a wealthy family. More or less a middle class, I would say. My dad was a musician. He traveled a lot, but we did it as a family. So I always crave that. Um, and I grew up in a musical environment because of my dad. So I guess that influenced too. My family didn't really have the time, the resources, I would say. Later on, then when I had my own, I was independent. I was on my own in New York. Um, I started doing it, and it happened. One of the things that inspired me, well, not inspired me, but I guess it was the what pushed me to it was when my mother passed away back in 2012, and I was heartbroken. I was very close to her, so so far I would say that was the most painful um, time in my life up to now. And then I was like, I need to do something. I really need to do something, and I always wanted to go to different places, and I started traveling heavily. Moved to China. And because I was in China, I wasn't sure when I was going to go back to New York City. So for me, it was just to leave. And I don't know. So I stayed there. And because I was in China, well, it was easy for me to start traveling to all those countries around. So I started with Asia. Every time I was going to a different country, it was just amazing. It's like nobody knew me. So I was just exploring something new and starting to get to know more people and different cultures um and it started to get a lot of my attention how people live in different ways and are still happy. I mean, there are places in Asia that I'm telling you, they don't even have running water. And these people are just extremely happy. And then I think that helps a lot to appreciate more your life and to be more grateful. So then I started doing it in that way. I would say not backpacking per se. I have done backpacking, which my last trip
Mhm.
was 2 months ago in the summer, and I did 2 months of backpacking. But um, it's not like there is a regular backpacker that has no resources whatsoever and leaves just wandering in life. But I do it, with my emergency money. If something happens, then I know where to go. But I try to be on a budget so I can experience that culture and the local life. And it's been a pleasure. I think it's been amazing.
Right. No, that's an incredible story, an incredible journey that you've been on. And you mentioned that every place you went to is kind of different and just, a unique experience, and which I guess is how the book came to be. I mean, The Traveler's Guide to Life does focus on a different theme or lesson in every chapter. So tell me, which chapter or message would you say resonates with you the most?
Um, I think I will need a lot of that. I think every chapter is unique, but I will say the recent one, this last backpacking trip I did, before that one, it was like probably 6 years, that I had done the previous one. And I got divorced a year ago. It was a 13 years of relationship.
Mm,
Um, the last years we were legally married, but it was a long relationship. And I was really, and then, at the same time, I was getting my clientele in my business, and then the full-time job. So it was very overwhelming. And then I made the mistake to jump into some sort of new relationship, which now in the present time, I don't think it was. But but I think it was too soon for me to do that, and I think it was because of the vulnerability stage that I was. And I said, you know what, I haven't done backpacking in a while, so I'm gonna just take these 2 months. I didn't think about any consequences. What if? What about if I don't like it? What about if now it's different than backpacking 7 years ago? I just didn't care. I was like, I'm gonna do what I always do, what I like to do, and I'm just gonna go. And my first arrival was in Spain because I had some family relatives there. And I stayed there for a couple of days and I decided to go to Morocco. But that same time, the day before I flew from Madrid to Morocco, um, I changed plans. And the person that was going to host me said, well, you can stay here as long as you want to. So I was like, you know what? This is a sign. So I'm going to stay longer. And I was going to stay there for a week, and I ended up staying for a month. So staying there for a month in Morocco, I had been there before, but it was the first time that I stayed there for that long. Where I stay, I live the life of the person there. They live in a very humble way. I mean, it's the house, again, sometimes they don't have that many resources, for them to travel. It's just, wow, that's impossible. We need to save a year of salary to do that. Um,
right.
and because I was going through so much personally, um, I started paying attention more to what was valuable, which was the people that didn't even know me. This host didn't know me at all. The first time he saw me was when I arrived there. And he was so kind to let me stay in his house. He had a second unit, and then he said, "That's yours. Whatever you need." I mean, that was beautiful. And not expecting anything in exchange at all. And spending time with them, I appreciated that more. And then it reminded me of what I like to do, which is traveling, meeting new, getting to know more cultures, different lifestyles. And it was a reminder, and I thought to myself why I was so depressed and down and thinking so much about somebody that was not even worth it, worth my time, um, and being so sad about a divorce that probably was meant to be, because if I decided to leave, it was because it was the right thing for me to do. So I think it was transformative. I think doing what I like to do, which was traveling and going to different places, it reminded me of the beautiful life that I have and how happy I can be without depending on the external, but more on the internal.
Understood. Well, thank you for walking us through that. I'm so sorry to hear about, there's definitely some trials in your life and things you had to overcome, but I love that the travels definitely inspired you and lifted your spirit and showed you there's
Mm.
the world. So I'm glad that you're able to, put that into your book for others to learn about. To transition into the book itself a little bit, then, was there a certain moment you realized you wanted to write about this, that you just had to get it onto the page? Was there a catalyst that sparked that inspiration?
Um, like the motivation to write.
Yeah, like, when did you decide, I have to write this down?
Uh, well, the book started just out of a blog. So I started a blog back in 2016. It's called Little Wild Experiences.com. It's still there. And I still pause sometimes, but it just now it's the book. And every time that I travel, I wrote something. I was on the road. And for me, I mean, people are different. Sometimes we feel more comfortable expressing our thoughts orally, verbally. For me, it's more comfortable to write my thoughts because I think I can analyze them more and reflect. So I started writing those articles and then and just publishing on the blog. Um, Time passed by, and then I was like, I always wanted to write a book, but I wasn't sure what am I going to write about. Um, and then I was like, it just, I think that was the push, that was the green light. I was like, okay, so maybe the blog can be, you know, be turned into a book and then just put up these articles there.
I love that. Okay, well, then it sounds like it's kind of like a process, and it just kind of came in a natural way for the most part. So when you were writing it, then you do a good job of balancing your storytelling with your insights. I'm wondering, was there a certain approach you took to find that balance, like a certain strategy?
I think being honest to myself, because sometimes we try to find perfection, thinking that we're going to, um, we paid a lot of attention to what other people think or say, especially when we publish something. Or, I mean, you can be a singer, you can be a writer, you can be an actor, it doesn't really matter. Um, and for me, it was just when it was right at the moment, put my thoughts in writing, and just like I was talking to myself, no one else. And then after everything, my writing was done, I would reflect. And that's when, yeah, I would say it's ready to just go public.
Understood. I like that. So, basically, just talking to yourself is kind of like the key to it.
Mhm.
I love that. Okay, it's wonderful to think about. So is there a certain challenge that you had to overcome within this process? Anything that, you think others can learn from that you had to learn along the way?
The challenges, I think, the main ones was when you write a memoir, and anyone that is out there and has written a memoir or is thinking of, I think the most difficult part is to know that you had to be vulnerable, but you had to be strong at the same time because you're writing about yourself and all of your experiences, whether they're positive or negative. And then, the world is going to know about that. Um, so again, we pay so much attention to what people will say, but we need to think about that we all the same, we're human beings at the end of the day. So those experiences can be the mirror of someone else that um, might benefit from my approaches versus what that person is doing. And the idea is just to pay forward. At least that's how I see it. So if your story can be inspirational, if your mistakes or your experiences, your weaknesses and strengths can be some sort of um, mirror for someone else for them to be guided, then why to hide it?
Right. No, I love that. And thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that with us. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Why hide it? Why keep it back? Um, Do you have any advice for writers who want to share their own experiences or or travel experiences, for example? Like if someone's inspired to take follow your footsteps and follow your path, what would you recommend to them there, like specific to travel writing?
I think for traveling and for both, I think you need to start thinking more about yourself. Um, what makes you happy? What exactly you want? Forget about what the situation is, where you live. We always find excuses, I think, for some reason, subconsciously or consciously. But when we think about what we want and what we need, and then we stop finding motivation outside, the motivation is always going to be you. You're the common factor in every place, every relationship, every scenario. So at the end of the day, the journey is yours, it's no one else. So I think you have to be honest to yourself and forget about what is perfect. Um, Nobody's perfect, nothing is perfect. And I think the more experiences or mistakes that we make, right, because they're positive in the end because we learn from it, are the ones that actually, stick the most somehow, because they teach us lessons. So I would say just forget about perfection and be honest to yourself.
Right. I love that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's all you can do. You can't hide from it. You have to just take what you feel authentically and put that out into the world. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a brilliant piece of advice. Um, so now that this book is out, then what's next on your agenda? Are you still traveling? Do you have other works that you've been working on? What's
Yeah, I actually started a second book. This is part of a series. That was my plan when I published this one. So the second one, I'm still writing it, but it's more about relationships while traveling. Because obviously, when you travel, you encounter yourself in situations where you probably fall in love or you get attached to someone, and you know that's not going to be forever because you're there temporarily. So I think that, yeah, that will be the next thing. And it taught me a lot about relationships and attachment and understanding what love exactly is. Sometimes we confuse that feeling.
right?
Um, and I think just keep educating in my line of work, which is finances and real estate. That's what I do. And yes, I travel. I think I'm addicted now. It's a good addiction.
All right. Well, very exciting to hear the next one is kind of in the works. Is there a certain release date for it? Is it still just like in the beginning stages?
It's in the beginning stages. I would predict this is going to be probably in a year. I will publish it. I mean, I try to do sooner, but I don't. I try to set a deadline, but I think the least I think about it, the more unique um, and honest the writing can be. So I'm not thinking about, oh, I had to do this by this date.
Of course. All right. Well, hey, in that case, I guess what we can do is take a look at, your social media perhaps, and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So where can people head to stay in touch and be up to date with the next release?
For my business, I mean, I'm pretty much public. My Instagram is at Financials and Realty. And my company provides financial services. That's what we do. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. Um, I think a lot of people have the misconception that financial services is only for wealthy people, but not necessarily. And for the book, I mean, fortunately, is published everywhere in the world. So it can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, um, any website. I think I just recently got informed that it was published in Japan, which I was very surprised. So yeah, it's everywhere. If you Google the book and you put it exactly, The Traveler's Guide to Life by Zara York is there, and my life is there. I think I saw articles of myself as well. This is new to me, really. After I published the book, I'm trying to navigate that.
Okay, well, amazing. Guys, we're gonna put the links of all of what you just mentioned in the description box of this podcast. So, hey,
Mhm.
we can, get connected, stay in touch, and be up to date with, what's next on the horizon for you. So as we begin to wrap up, I'm curious to know if you have any other insights or advice you'd like to offer the audience today.
My advice in general is for people to take bold steps, to stop hesitating so much, waste so much time sometimes in thinking what we want to do. We think so much about I wish, I wish, I wish,
Right.
but we don't take action. And I think it's time, if you're listening to this, just just do what you want to do. Life is too short. We don't know the tomorrow. We think a lot so much about what's going to happen in a year, what's going to happen in 2 years. What about just what's happening now? Because you're breathing right now, you're healthy right now, and you're alive right now. So if you really want to travel, then book the trip. If you really want to quit your job, then quit your job. It's just doing it in a very strategic way.
Understood. I like
Mhm.
that. You just got to have a plan, just go for it and, everything will follow after. I love that
Yeah.
advice. Well, this has been a really insightful conversation. You have a ton of, really cool stories, and I think people can learn from them by just picking up the book and giving it a go. So again, guys,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's beautiful. It's just because it's very random, so it's not boring at all. I don't think so. But they're very short. I think you can literally read the book in a week if you read it.
course. Yeah, no, it's and guys, your stories go from like Morocco to like, everywhere else you went to China. So guys, you get to learn from it, you get to hear the experiences. So pick up The Traveler's Guide to Life. It's a great book. We're gonna have the links in the description box of this podcast today. And other than that, it's been an honor to have you on, Zara. And to all of our audience members, keep writing, keep inspiring, and keep leading. We'll see you next time on the Authors on Mission
Thank,
podcast.
thank you, Danielle. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.